Okay, so today what we're going to talk about is this thing called method overloading, right? Now, for us, I'm going to focus on a thing called the drawbar. The drawbar method. Now, the drawbar method literally is drawing a set of stars based on the length that you pass the method, right? Now, the signature, you'll often hear coders talk about signature of a method, right? The signature has 5 different sections, right? We have the visibility, which is the public, protected, or private modifier, which either allows other people to see it, lets children within the same class see it, or stuff only happening inside the code, which is private. Now, we also have the concept of static. This is an optional thing that you can put in. When you say that something is static, there's only one instance of it existing anywhere on the computer. Okay? So it's very important for things like real-time control. Like if you're threading something and you want to have a stop variable that all of the threads will look to figure out whether it keeps doing its method or not, right? Now, the return type can be void, which means nothing gets returned. An integer could be an integer which you would have to use the term return some number or return a variable of that type. And then we have the method name, and then we have the parameter list. Now, for us, when we're dealing with this thing called method overloading, we're actually talking about the inputs for the method, i.e. the parameter list. Okay? Now, the parameter list is what allows us to take code, similar code, and use it over, but change it slightly. So, if you think about it, the method declaration is used by the compiler to determine which method to execute, and it uses the parameter list to determine which method it has to run. Now, therefore, method names don't have to be unique as long as parameters are different from methods with the same name. Method overloading is when more than one method of the same name is included in a class. Now, for example, the following application that I have here, right? I got this method overloading example that you can copy and paste into your code and try out. Now, I have taken the liberty to make sure that we have something ready to go. So, this is our public static void bar method in our code. Now, you'll notice the difference between this method and this method. It's exactly the same signature, but the method parameters have changed, right? We have changed its visibility, we have changed its scope, and we have changed its return value. Same thing. Sorry. The visibility, the scope, and the return value is the same, and the name is the same. The only thing that has changed is the type of things we call it with. Now, inside my public static void main method, if I wanted to run this drawbar, right, let's take a look at it. So, we're going for I equals 1 to less than or equal to the length. So, we are taking in the length from the user, right? Now, with this drawbar method, in order for me to use it inside here, remember when we were doing our Word doc, what do you call it? Our Windows documents, you go this dot blah 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 to get the method. Now, because this is static, we do not do that, right? We only do that when we have to create an instance of it. Now, the instance of this entire method is method overloading, but it has these static methods that are part of it. So you just have to call it directly. So in this case, I'm just going to call drawbar. Now, I'm going to go and make it print 15 and see what happens. So if I run this code, I should see 15 stars on the screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Perfect. So we have 15 stars. Now, if I'm looking at this other public static void bar, drawbar, you notice how it's, I'm going to just open it up and we'll take a look. So if I look at this code and this code are almost identical. The only difference is we've changed this section into mark. So what we have done here essentially is we're doing exactly the same code that we had here, except, let's see. If I go draw bar, instead of 15, I put 15, and then I put, well, it's a string. Because it's a string, we have to use double quotes, and we put our character in. So let's put the and sign in. Now if I run this, I should have 2 lines of 15 stars, but then one will have an ampersand sign on the second line. Let's take a look. Oh, perfect. Let's change this to 6. We'll run it again. Oh, that's perfect. All right, so now note that in the first main call that we have here, that's this part right here, the method only contains one parameter. In this case, Java, when it runs, it's going to look for drawbar, and it's going to say, hey, is this the drawbar that only has an integer for its length? Sorry, it has just an integer? Yes, it does, so we run this code. When it gets to the second method, execution, that method has 2 inputs. In this case, the 2 inputs are length and then string, right? So because those 2 inputs are there, it looks and says, hey man, is there 2 inputs there? Now, you notice, I want you to remember this. The order of the inputs matter. So if I wanted to, I could do this. Take this, paste this in here like this, change it from int length to string mark, and then change this to int length, and then change the way we print it. So maybe what I do is I print ln instead, and we see what happens. So if I do drawbar again, and I put, let's put the @ sign and then 3, it's supposed to do something. So what I want you to do, take a look at this. Don't pause the video, and I want you to tell me what you think is going to happen with this. Now you notice, look at the overall thing and see what's difference between this signature and this signature, then also take a look at the internal code. All right? Okay. All right, awesome. All right, ready? All right, you paused it, unpause it. Now let's run it and let's see what happens. Boom. Oh, so the difference between this and this is just that one thing. It's just that one thing. The fact that the signature, the parameter list is different, and then we change this to a println. And we are done. All right, that's it, kids. Now, here's what I need you to be able to do for this project set today. You are going to make sure that you go and create the display box. You're going to do a second display box. We're going to call it display box 2, right? And with that display box, you're going to do some stuff with it. You're going to do a method overload. Now, once you've done that, once you've done question number 1.3 or 1.4, what I want you to do is I want you to go take a look at this homework that I have for you. The homework that I have for you is going to be this method overloading worksheet. method overloading worksheet has been set up for you to do a practice on understanding how method overloading works. I really need you to understand it because it's very useful for when we're doing program development and we want to reduce the amount of work that we want to do by minimizing the extra stuff that we have to do by recopying stuff. Okay? And all I want you to do, save this as a Word document, do the work here, and then there'll be a Dropbox available for you to upload at a later date. Now, for question number 3 on the sheet, make sure that you use the highlight feature in Microsoft Word to highlight what this is for. Okay? Now, that's all that's left to do. Okay, there's not much. Just fill out this stuff as best you can, right? And that's it. You're done. All right. Have a good weekend.